Hey, welcome to Playing for Keeps, the show where we take a deep dive into dating, love, relationships, sex, and attachment theory. Your host, DJ, will be hosting Dating Chronicles, where she has guests come on the show and give a funny, crazy, or romantic dating story. Tune in if you need a laugh, hear something romantic, or maybe hear someone else's experience to help you grow in your relationship journey.
Hey everybody, it's your girl DJ with Playing for Keeps podcast, and today I have a special guest for Dating Chronicles. Her name is Lisa Hawkins. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, DJ. I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you are here too. So how's your week been going?
It's been going wonderful. Yeah, been very busy.
Okay, yeah. Busy is always
What about
good.
You? This is like a big day for women, right?
Right.
Voting day, right? Empowerment.
I went to the polls today. I took off work and was like, okay, I'm gonna take off work and I'm gonna go. And I almost didn't vote because I went to the wrong voting location, and it discouraged me so bad. But I was like, no, I gotta vote. I gotta put my vote in, and I gotta do it. So I sucked it up after waiting 2 hours in the wrong line and went to the right location. But when I went to the right location, there was really no line. So I'm glad I got my vote in. So
well, good for you. You stuck it out.
Right. Yeah. So literally we will see, the results tonight. I feel like, either way it go, hopefully, everybody just remain positive, and it's not going to be as chaotic as what they're saying. That's just kind of what I'm being faithful for and hopeful for, because I don't know if you've seen on social media where they're talking about, what kind of war, a civil war or something like that, depending on whoever wins is going to be something. That's all I'm praying against. Like, whoever wins, let's let it be, and let's figure out how we're going to get through the next 4 years, regardless of what side you're on. So that's my hopes as far as that. Not digging too much into politics and who you voting for, who I'm voting for, who the listeners voting for. I respect everybody's opinion. Besides all of that, so I know earlier we were talking about a conference you will be doing this month. Tell us a little bit about that conference before we dive into your dating story.
I will. Thank you for asking. So it's called the Relationship Mastery Summit. It's on November 21st. And because we've all had a very interesting year this year, right? A lot of ups and downs. So it's a perfect time for us to learn how to enrich our relationships and to have a new normal. A lot of people's been challenged with their relationships this year. So I'll be talking about conscious relationships and conscious couples.
Got you. Okay. Oh, okay. That is awesome.
And you can go to relationshipmastersummit.com to purchase tickets.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So you are here for Dating Chronicles, where you give a funny, crazy, or romantic dating story. So tell us what you got for us today.
Oh my goodness, I have so many, but one in particular that stands out for me is I went out with this guy that he was professional, very educated, intelligent, which I like, right? He was into fitness and health, and we had a lot in common. He had a daughter. I have 2 daughters. So I was hopeful, right? And so he planned the date. Which I absolutely love, right? So
yeah.
we did one of those do-it-yourself painting nights, right? We did that. That wasn't going so well for me.
I bet. I bet for you, but just doing myself. I can't.
I was like, it's a wonderful kind of romantic thing for a date, but it just wasn't like that way with him. So I was pretty much deciding, not for me, right?
Right.
But I had already planned, because I truly believe that women should go on a date with a plan A and a plan B.
Okay.
If plan B is if things do not work out the way we hope they will, what will we do that night, right?
Okay.
I had a plan B.
Go into detail about what plan B is, because I'm curious.
Yeah. So I had brought some clothes. I love boots, right? I'm a boots girl, right? So I had the thigh high boots. I had a skirt on, stockings, and a nice top, and I changed. So my plan B was, because you're painting, you don't want to have your good clothes on, right?
Right.
So I changed, and I came out of that bathroom, and I was ready to go to this really fancy hotel we have in the mountains of North Carolina and listen to live music and maybe dance.
Okay.
And I came out of the bathroom and his face lit up, and all of a sudden he shifted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good information, right? Good information.
Yeah.
And so we went up there, and it's like, I was still pretty much decided that I wasn't that into him. So we sit down and had a drink and talked. And in that, I just let men talk, and I get a lot of information out of that, right? And so somewhere along the lines, we got onto a conversation about breast size.
Wow.
I know, right? I think it's comical though, really. So, and then like, the term plastic surgery popped up. Well, right? I'm a secure woman. That's a total deal breaker for me. But
okay.
but this is how I handle it. This is the funny part. So I said, you know what? What you see is what you get.
Basically, boo.
There won't be any enhancing going on. And I made it into like a funny opportunity, right? To like let him know I'm secure in my body. This is it. And then I happened to say, well, I'm interested, since we brought up the term plastic surgery, what part of yourself would you enhance?
What did he say? Oh my God.
He didn't have anything to say. So my point is, you can take something that might be very uncomfortable and awkward and turn it around. So this was towards the end. He wanted to finally take me on a walk, and then I was going to be done with the date, right?
Yeah.
So he took me on a walk, and somehow he wanted to take me into the ballroom, but there was no dancing and music in that part of the hotel. So I was like, okay, there's nothing going on here. I think I'm going to go. He gently pushed me up against the wall and was going to kiss me. And this is it. Like, they want to do the 50 Shades of Grey stuff. He was going to kiss me, right?
Mm-hmm.
His version of a kiss is not my version of a kiss. He took his tongue and he went around the outer.
Oh my God. Like,
ew. I don't know. Some women might like that, but it was ew to me. It was not my thing. And I was so done, I couldn't get out of that place fast enough.
I just feel like not the first time you meet somebody, because some people be into some weird stuff. Like, I had an ex who likes to spit in your mouth, but right, that is nasty to me.
You have to talk about that stuff beforehand.
Right, you talk about it beforehand, or you give me at least a month before you surprise me with something like that, because he gave me at least a couple of months, and you know what I'm saying?
He was trying to be romantic, right? He was really trying. And he watched the 50 Shades of Grey, and a lot of men heard that women go gaga over that movie, and so he was trying to do that. It's just what's romantic to one person is not romantic to another.
Right.
But it's a funny date. And here's why. Because when you're confident in your body and you're the prize, like, not from an ego point, but you really know that you have value. That when men bring up things such as breast size and plastic surgery, it's not you, it's them.
Definitely.
It's not. And so it is funny, because you deserve better. You deserve better. And so I can laugh at that, because it no way affected my self-esteem, not even in the least. And then I turned it around and asked him what part of his body he would like to enhance. So this is what I'm talking about. If you feel good in yourself as a woman, you can turn it around. And it can be one of the funniest things you've ever experienced, instead of allowing it to affect you.
Gotcha. Let me ask you this, because I know I've been confronted with questions like that, like on a first date. And I think in the past, like, I had in self-esteem issues, because I wouldn't dare turn the conversation or the question on him, because I didn't want to turn the guy off. Like, for me, I feel like that may be like insecurity or low self-esteem. Would you agree with that statement for most women on why they wouldn't turn that around on a man? And then what advice would you give? What advice would you give to a woman like that, who has a mind frame like that, who probably would think that comment, but they wouldn't dare say it because they're still trying to impress that man?
Well, here's the thing. You're trying to impress him instead of focusing on, is he good enough for you?
Right.
And that's what you should be focusing on. Is this man good enough for me? But when you're in the people-pleasing mode, you're going to be looking to please him.
Right.
And therefore, you're not going to be focused on the right thing. And it is this insecurity issue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want a relationship. Yeah. But do you want a relationship with someone that's not going to accept you totally the way you are? See, it's all a matter of perspective, and it can change in a split second as long as you remember that you're supposed to be paying attention to if he is good enough for you.
Right.
And then it just totally changes around. And you can laugh at these silly things that these guys do, right?
Right.
But as soon as I stepped out of that bathroom in my I got it going on woman outfit, and I'm sexy and I know it,
right,
he turned around, right? He turned around. You just shift yourself. That's all you have to do.
Wow. Okay. Now you said you had a couple of stories. What's your next story?
So this one's a little bit, I don't know if you've ever heard of day gaming, but day gaming is like a thing where guys learn to pick up women during the day at places where men wouldn't normally pick up women.
Okay.
I'm, I can't know what someone's intent is, right? We can't ever know that. Yeah. But it seems like a day gaming kind of thing, right? Because I was at this bar that I frequent, and I don't drink alcohol, but I love live music, and I love to dance. So this really classy wine bar that we have, I had live music, and I went with a friend. So we hung out, for a while, and then we decided to leave, and we were walking to our car, and this guy starts running ahead of us, right?
Oh, Lord.
I didn't know he had followed us out of the bar. And then he turns around and starts walking backwards, trying to talk to us. And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And so I didn't even know that he was interested in me. I thought he was interested in my friend. She was attractive too, right?
Yeah.
And so, but he started talking to us, and then and walked us to an area where my car is, because I'm not going to show a guy where I'm actually in my car, usually until after we've gone out on a date. So, but he was interested in me, and he was walking backwards, trying to get my attention so that I would talk to him. Eventually, I figured out he didn't want to go on a date with me, because then he finally admitted, I ran out of the bar because I knew that you would not talk to me or give me the time of day in the bar. So I ran out to talk to you, which is good, right? Because bars are typically a place where guys pick up women, and I usually won't entertain them for very long. I don't want to be picked up at a bar, nor do I want to be picked up by someone that's had a few too many drinks. Nothing wrong with drinking, but the fact that they're going to be altered at that point. So it's funny. It's kind of scary that somebody can run out of a bar and follow you. That was the part that was a little scary, but it's just comical that men know how to pick up women. They study this, right? They study it mostly on the internet. It's not a good place unless you're talking to a relationship expert, but they pick up on this. And this was like one of those things that's called day gaming, where they learn how to pick up women outside of the normal places that you would suspect women are going to get picked up.
I learned a new term. I've never heard of that at all. Mm-hmm. That's new. I'm going to have to look that up.
I only went out with him once, because that was enough for me to figure out he was not interested in a relationship. But it is kind of comical. It's also
that is comical. So he went ahead and chased you kind of out of the bar, walked backwards, like could have fell, could have stumbled, just to not want nothing serious.
just to get my phone number and to go out with me. See, that's part of the day gaming thing, to pick up women. It's, yeah,
Wow.
unfortunately,
These
it's
men are very
unfortunate. Yeah,
interesting.
but it was good information for me, right? And
Hmm.
that's what dating is. It's an opportunity for us as women to learn about men, get the information that we need to find a guy that's up and up, authentic, looking for a long-term relationship if that's what you want. Yeah.
Got you. What tips would you give women out here dating specifically? So now I don't know what time frame that was in, but now it's online dating apps, right?
Mhm.
What tips would you give a woman just on what to look for? I know mine personally, one that I learned recently is a guy who jokes and asks you, could you do me a favor? Is a red flag. And I'm going to go more into that dating story later on this
Mhm.
year on what
Mhm.
happened to me. But that's one that I can give. Even if a person is joking, they are really trying to see how far they can take stuff. That's a red flag for me now, moving forward, even if they're joking, because this guy was clearly joking, but the conversations that followed and then even the first date that followed really shows what I just said. So what advice would you give?
Well, right there, you make an interesting point because they may be joking and they may be just testing you at the same time. So you listen to your intuition, and that's the number one thing. And I know a lot of dating relationship experts will tell you to give guys second chances and to not be so hard on them. But the one thing they don't tell you is your woman's intuition is usually always going to be spot on. And if it doesn't feel right, then don't do it.
Yeah, it's not right.
Yeah, so that's the number one thing. And the other thing is, like you said, it's information for you, and you already had all the information you needed from that guy. Next.
Yeah, it's definitely a next. But with him even asking that question, because the question he asked was, could you do me a favor? And I'm like, just to go, I'm working. I can't do you any favors. And then he put out a little joke like, oh, I just was asking because of this. But it was a joke. And it was just kind of like, okay, my meter goes off then. But me being me, wanting to collect information because I love
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tell stories. That's the part of my problem though. My gut could be like, okay, cancel. But I'd be like, nah, let me see how far this rabbit hole go. That's a part of my problem. And I got to fix that quick, like, because I'm about to be 30 and I can't keep doing this. But
But
I
you're
love
doing the
a
right
good
thing.
story.
Yeah. You're doing the right thing. And you wanted to see how far it went, but you also probably, if I'm not mistaken, you might have wanted to check in on your intuition just to make sure. And a lot of women do that. Okay. Just give it a little bit more time just for me to be concrete on my decision to move on. And there's
Right,
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
right. And I know the difference between me now and in the past, where if it's definitely not right, I cut off, move on quick. Be like, okay, I don't really entertain foolishness like I probably did 2 years ago or even a
Mm-hmm.
year ago. I don't entertain foolishness like I used to. Like I said, I'll see how far the rabbit hole go. Maybe even for just a little story, because I'm still a little
Mm-hmm.
immature. Just a little story. I'm like, okay, this man crazy. Let me move around. Let me move on, because this is not the move.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay,
I think
any
we've all been guilty of it. Yeah.
right, just to see. You know what I'm saying?
Just
Like
to
so.
see.
I, like I said, I see why the coach is like, give him another chance. Just see. Just see. I get it. Any other advice? Of course, following your intuition, but any other advice you think you would give, like to people like using dating apps now, or are you familiar with the dating apps now? Let me
Oh,
ask you
yeah.
that. Okay,
I've done most all of them.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
me.
Well, I have to know, right? I'm a dating relationship coach. I need to know.
Right.
So, yeah.
What?
So, but on a serious note here, if I may,
Okay. Yes.
a lot of women are caught up in chemistry.
Yeah.
That magnetic attraction that, oh, we just can't stop thinking about him, right? You just
Right.
want to just like, you know, but on the serious note, that's usually a sign of dysfunction, and it's called trauma bonding. And it needs to be something that women are familiar with, because that strong attraction could be the very thing that ends you up in a relationship that's going to be nothing short of a huge roller coaster ride, and could be worse,
Gotcha.
could be abusive.
So,
So as hard as it is to pull away from that magnetic pull, it's very important that if you have that strong chemistry, that you stop and pause and put some space in between you and him and watch and wait, because the telltale signs will show up.
right.
But often as a society, we get so caught up in attraction and chemistry that we go for it.
We do.
Blinders on. We got the blinders on. We're driving with our eyes shut.
Really and truthfully, but like you kind of what you said, it's kind of a cultural thing, like where like even codependency, like we're kind of told that in a way codependency is a normal relationship, when now in a new era we're learning that it's interdependent relationships, I believe I said the right term, is more of a healthier relationship where you have your own life, the other person has their own life, and you guys come together and you build together, but it's not so you're not on top of each other. You get what I'm saying? And you're not
I
like,
do.
yeah. So that's the new normal that people who are more aware are trying to aim for. But at the same time, those codependency dynamics still are, they're still very real. And I think anybody who's still self-aware and who's still trying to aim for that interdependent relationship, they still have those kind of trauma bonds and different things that they're still trying to battle with because of just what we've been taught all of these years of what a regular relationship is supposed to be. So I think it's going to be a struggle for a lot of people probably until the day that they die. That's just my personal opinion. Some people get it, but I know I'm one of those people. I think it's going to be something I'm going to be always trying to get better at and learning, because me dealing with codependency issues, it's just something I'm trying to engrave for myself. So let me ask you this. You talked about chemistry. So chemistry and attraction. So a person should pay attention more to character than the chemistry. What should they pay more attention to? Because like we were just talking about, as we're taught, chemistry is supposed to be there. They're hard hit chemistry. Like you're supposed to feel something for this person. Even what's the old saying where, if there's not a struggle, then it's not real. I'm saying the term wrong, but you get what I'm saying though, right? Like if there's no friction there, then if there's no fight for the relationship, then then you guys don't care about each other. That's something that a lot of people believe in as well. What do you say to those things?
Well, a couple things here. Attraction that's healthy is going to be something that builds, okay, and it'll increase as you date the person. You're not going to feel like a ton of bricks hit you. So what I offer up to women is give it a little bit of time. He may not be your 10.
Right.
Okay, he might not, but he's a good guy and you feel comfortable with him. You can talk easily with him and you feel good around him. That's what you look for. Instead of, oh man, he's hot, he's sexy, he's got all this going on and I am so attracted to him. That can come with time with a healthy relationship. But if you've had any kind of trauma in your past, it's something to be aware of. And so what you were talking about is healthy dependency versus, an unhealthy dependency. And healthy dependency doesn't mean that you can't depend on each other from time to time. It's just that it's not in a codependent way to where your whole self-esteem is built on whether this person loves you, accepts you, and
right.
And
Like
does for you.
I know for me, like I'll tell you a little bit about me, and I've expressed it in other podcasts. I literally would make my identity my partner's identity. Like I would choose partners who needed me. Like they needed me. So I think that also helped me with, and I'm like that with all of my relationships. It's not even me just picking, a partner like that. I think because of in my childhood, I'm one of the oldest. You know, I took care of my siblings. If my mom didn't know the answer or my mom wasn't around, I was the go-to person. You know what I'm saying? My brothers and sisters will attest. I was the caretaker in a way when my mother wasn't around. So with that, I embodied that with my friendships, with my partnerships, and it just entered into all of my romantic relationships, and I just ended up feeling attracted to people who needed me because that was the only way I knew how to feel loved. Like, okay, if I'm not needed, then I'm either bored or I just didn't feel love. And those concepts that I was saying before, well, if there's no fight, then it ain't real because I didn't feel anything. You know what I'm saying? So
I do know what you're saying. Your brain was conditioned at a young age that codependency was love. A lot of people have that.
Yeah.
With a healthy attachment, you can depend on people occasionally, but you can't stand up on your own.
Right. And that's something
that's the thing, right? It's a ebb and flow. It's not leaning on somebody all the time. And you have your own self-esteem and you feel valuable without the person. So it's a little bit of a shift there. But society has been inundated with codependency, and a lot of people don't know the difference between healthy attachment and codependency. So something to pay attention to.
It is. It's something very, very important to pay attention to. And I know that's why I started the podcast. And I actually, like, I have other ventures that I'm trying to do, like getting this dating app and stuff out, because these are concepts I want to push out there, because I feel like we end up in toxic dating cycles because of the way we were brought up. That's why I feel like attachment theory I feel like it's everything, you know what I'm saying? And to really bring that out into the world and have people really understand, hey, this is why you choose who you choose, and all of that stuff is important.
You're a conscious person, and you want to date consciously.
Right.
You're not running off a default. You did that once and it didn't work for you. So now you're paying attention.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, other people need to pay attention. And then other people need to pay attention who are in my position. And then even people who are on the other side of the spectrum, maybe, like, say I'm a giver and the other side is the takers. I feel like they even have their own reasons why they're takers. You know what I'm saying? That their childhood traumas and things like that, and living in survival mode, and them subconsciously not even knowing that they're draining the other person. So these are just concepts I want to bring to everybody, so everybody could be more self-aware. The givers, the takers, dismissive avoidance, anxious attached, all. I feel like it's just important in the dating world. So
it is.
That is my mission now.
You got a good mission. Yeah, absolutely. So on the subject of tension, since you brought it up, there's a couple kinds of tension.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be fighting for a relationship. There's tension where it's just friction and it's not working out, but we want it to so bad, right? We're wanting to. So we got the push-pull thing going on, right? Not necessarily in a healthy way. And then you've got the healthy tension where you don't see the other for a while and you build up some sexual tension and you miss that person, right?
Yeah.
And it's like a dance back and forth and it's flowing and it keeps the tension there. So you're interested and you don't get bored and you're sexually attracted to them. And that's the healthy kind of tension. That's the kind of tension you want to look for.
Let me ask you this. So what if they built up and they're living together and it's a healthy dynamic? What do you think? Because friction, I think, could be in any relationship and can come up in any way. So I'm guessing it's just not the toxic friction of like that codependency. It's just regular, maybe day-to-day responsibility frictions, or maybe you guys just don't see eye to eye on something, but in an adult way, you come up with win-win solutions, and it's not this push-pull dynamic. Would you agree with that? Okay.
Friction happens, triggers happen, life happens, conflict happens. But in a healthy relationship, a conscious couple will look for solutions and they will communicate it until it's resolved. If you're in the unhealthy dynamic, you're just going to drop it and it'll keep coming up and you're going to keep doing the same thing over and over. And you're expecting different results when you're doing the same thing. That's the crazy making kind, right?
Very, very, very crazy. Very crazy. Okay. Let me go ahead and ask you this, Lisa, because we made it more of a dating chronicles coaching session. Please tell the audience where they can find you.
You can find me on Facebook, Lisa Hawkins, Dating and Relationship Coach. I have a website, consciouslyAwakeCounseling.com. And again, you can find me on the Relationship Mastery Summit on November 21st.
Okay. And all of those links will be in the show notes. Lisa, I want to thank you for coming on, giving us your stories, giving us your advice. I want to thank all of the listeners who are tuning in today. You can find me at P4K Podcast on Instagram or on Facebook. And until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to today's show. If you liked this podcast, please download and subscribe. If there's anything you would like to talk about in regards to relationships, or would like to be a guest on the show to speak on relationships or get advice, you can always connect via social media at Playing for Keeps or email DJ at info@p4kdating.com. Thank you for tuning in, and bye for now.